I'm here with one of our favorite fighters on the Spinning Back Fist podcast, Dalton Rosta. Hard to believe, but this is the first time we've had you on. Welcome to the show, and we're excited, but I can't wait to get into your upcoming fight. We are 13 days away or so? Oh no, 11?
11 days, yeah,
11 days away from your semifinals matchup, a rematch. How are you feeling?
I feel fucking great. Can't fucking wait.
So you're down in Florida right now?
Yeah, I leave on Friday night, late Friday night. Saturday, I'm throwing the first pitch out at the Chicago Cubs game.
So okay.
Yeah.
How's the arm?
We're gonna find out. I don't fucking know, but we're gonna find out.
Did you play baseball at all in high school or no?
I played like T-ball growing up, and I played 1 year of baseball when I was a kid, but I haven't played since. I played softball in a couple like pickup leagues a couple years ago during the summer, but softball's a little bit different. So we're gonna find out. I'm gonna practice my pitch a little bit before Saturday, just so I don't look like a complete dumbass.
No, yeah, Chicago Cubs. That's a big one. There's a lot of first pitch opportunities, but I feel like Cubs is, and obviously you'll be fighting in Chicago Friday, June 27th.
Yep.
And so you're from Pittsburgh, obviously. I'm going to ask you about the Steelers at the end and their recent addition, but you train out of American Top Team. How long do you usually in your camps? And obviously with the PFL tournament, it's a little bit different, but how long do you usually like to get to Florida to train before your fights?
Well, I actually live down here now. I moved down here 5 years ago. So, but I was splitting time. I was going back pretty frequently the past few years. But I've grown. South Florida's grown on me a lot. I've become more accustomed to it, and the training down here is too good to miss out on. So I'm here year round now.
Yeah. Was there any thought of? I know Bo opened up an American Top Team in Pennsylvania, right? But how far is that outside of Pittsburgh?
It's like 2 hours, like a 2 hour drive.
All right. Have you trained there at all?
I've never trained there, no.
Okay.
But it wasn't even really a thought either. It's just it's a American Top Team gym, but down here you have people coming from all over the place. You got people coming from Dagestan, Russia, Brazil, Europe, Germany, Poland, all these other places. So it's really a hot spot for MMA down here. Whereas it's an ATT, they got some good wrestlers up there, but they're building it from the ground up.
Yeah, the team at American Top Team is crazy. You go all the way from Dustin Poirier down to some guys that are just getting started. It's loaded, and one of the cool aspects, at least as a fan, is I can imagine you can train with so many different types of fighters. We've even seen in some fights when some commentators were bringing up that this guy was not prepared with the right fighters. We saw it with Joaquin Buckley this past weekend. During the fight, Dominic Cruz was kept saying it didn't seem like he was training his wrestling very well. You don't need to particularly work on that, but we've seen it from you. Your striking go from, not to say it was bad or anything, but you've taken it from here to you went in there. And one of the most impressive parts of your last fight against Sadabusi was I thought you were winning almost every moment on the feet.
100%. I walked him down. I felt like he couldn't deal with my pressure. One thing I noticed about him during the fight, though, that he was good at evading. He was very elusive, and his first step or two back was really quick. So there was a couple times where I was walking him down against the cage, and I felt like I was cutting him off, and I was getting ready to lunge in with a big left hand and go to the body or go back up top. And before I threw the punch, whenever I'm going to make the step, I'm immediately he was out of range already. So I had to, kind of retract my strike. So it was more of a game, a waiting game and being patient on the feet with him. But, defensively, I was defensively sound. I blocked damn near every kick. There was one kick that got through to the body. But besides that, blocked every single one, checked a lot of his kicks, and then obviously I landed the more punishing blows. I hurt him a few times, hurt him to the body, hurt him up top, to the point where, he's ducking down. He tried wrestling me and I snapped him down. And that's how we ended up in that wrestling exchange. So, I think I beat him everywhere.
No, yeah, 100%. That was so impressive. Obviously, we've seen you be impressive in a lot of fights. Your last fight before that was an all-out war. You dug deep. But obviously, this is a rematch. and this is your only L. What do you feel has changed the most in your game since you first faced Aaron Jeffery?
I mean, the biggest thing that's changed for me is my mindset. I felt like I was mentally strong back then, but compared to now, I was weak. There's a lot of things I'm doing now that I wouldn't have done back then. I'm going above and beyond now. But I think the biggest thing in that last fight was I got tired. You know what I mean? It was the day. First round, I was out striking him. You know what I mean? We spent a lot of the round in the clinch, and even though I was circling him back to the cage, and I'm winning a lot of those moments, he was winning some of the moments too. He had some success with the calf kick and stuff like that. But for the majority of the round, I'm winning the round. And then after that, I kind of just gassed out. And I think a part of it was, I didn't really prepare in the clinch like I should have. And, I clinched a lot more than what I was expecting to, and kind of gassed myself out. And part of that's, fight IQ. Part of that's not listening to my coaches. And I mean, just on top of listening to my coaches this time and preparing correctly, I'm a much better fighter. I'm a lot more intelligent inside the cage. There's going to be ways in the fight throughout any position that we're in that I'm going to be able to finish the fight. And I think this time I'm going to take advantage of those little micro opportunities. And I think I don't think this is going to make it out of the second round.
Okay. That was one of my questions, to see how you think this fight's going. To go back to what you mentioned and how in the clinch you felt like it really tired you out. Is that the position that you feel tires you out the most? Or, as a guy like myself who's not even close to your knowledge, it's interesting to hear where sometimes you would think, oh, there's not as much moving there, but to hear fighters like yourself say, no, that's where I get the most tired, is fascinating to the fight fans.
Yeah, it's not necessarily where I get the most tired. It was just that particular fight, the way I was trained, the way I had to train, given the circumstances. I wasn't able to train in the clinch, the last few weeks of camp the way I would have liked. So I kind of had to adjust my training and the way we prepared and the way we game planned for that fight. I was doing somewhat in the first round and I was having success with it. And then I got away from it. And then once I got tired, my arms got blown up. Because of the lack of preparation, because of the lack of the fight IQ, because of not listening to my coaches, I got tired. I'd start trying to wrestle. It was a domino effect from there on out. But I mean, back then in 2023, I think I was the better fighter. I think I know I was the better fighter. It's just he fought more intelligently than me. And, I kind of beat myself and I got tired. And fatigue and cardio and everything is a part of this sport. So at the end of the day, he outlasted me in that fight and he fought smarter than I did. He stuck to his game plan. I didn't. This time around, I'm a lot smarter. I learned from my experience and I didn't let that fight break me. I didn't let that fight change the trajectory of my career. I learned from it. I got better from it. And now 2 years later, we get another rematch. I get to keep those experiences in my back pocket, learn from the first time, and then I build on top of that. So I'm a much better fighter now than I was back then. Even though I believe I was better than him back then, I lost the fight. He was a better man that night. There's no way around that. But I am much, much better right now, and I have those experiences in my back pocket. So I've learned, and on June 27th, I think I'm going to go out there and show it, and I don't even think it's going to be close.
It's so fascinating to hear fighters talk, kind of similar to how fans will talk, how like one loss can define you in even the good way, where a loss can turn your career from, oh, you're going in a great trajectory to, wait, you're going to the moon now. Because like you look like people, MMA, it's who goes undefeated, like one or two guys in the history of the sport. And even those guys weren't fighting Aaron Jeffries when it's their 15th fight. So it's just, it adds. That wasn't even your 15th fight. What fight was that in your?
That was my 9th fight.
Yeah, like some people are fighting guys on their 9th fight that their Topology page doesn't even exist. Like it goes to like another like country or something. So where you stand now, are you going, when you go into the fights, are you looking for specifically a moment to get that finish, or do they kind of just come?
I think they kind of just come. In the past, I had a history of trying to force them, and then I get sloppy, I get tired. This last fight, I kind of just let it come to me. You know what I mean? I just let things happen, let them play out how they would, stuck to my game plan, didn't rush anything, fought smart, and fought to the best of my ability. And I fought a former champion, a very credentialed kickboxer, former PFL champion, and I went out there and dominated from bell to bell everywhere. And then I submitted him. And then on the other side of this, you have Aaron Jeffery, who's fought every single person the same exact way since he's fought me. And since before he fought me, he pushes everybody up against the cage. He goes for a calf kick. He goes for a teep. He hasn't changed anything from the beginning of his career till now. He does everything the same exact way. And then you can completely see me go out there and change my game. I'm throwing new tricks in there, throwing new strikes, going for submissions, stuff like that. And I went out there and dominated a former champion, and he went out there and had a split decision, which I'm going to be completely honest with you, bro. I didn't think he won. Me and my coaches were watching the fight on the bus on the way to the venue. He fought before me. He was the first fight.
Yeah, he was the first fight of the night.
Yeah. So we're watching it on my phone on the way to the fights. We're on the bus. I'm sipping on an energy drink, watching the fights, just trying to, enjoy the fights until it's my time to start warming up and shit. And his fight's on. So I'm like, all right, I got to watch this. I got to see who I'm fighting next. At the same time, still trying to focus on Saudi Boo. And then we watched the fight, and I'm talking to my coaches. I'm like, I don't know. I think the Russian won. And my coach, Anderson Franca, striking coach, was like, yeah, I think the Russian won too. And then next thing you know, my phone was about 5 seconds ahead of his, and he was sitting in front of us, and me and my friend saw Aaron Jeffery get his hand raised. So we told Anderson, we're like, he won. And he's like, what? And he looked back at his phone. He won. My coach started celebrating, screaming the top of his lungs on the bus. It's screaming. And I'm like, Coach, calm down. I was like, I still got to fight. I was like, yeah. I'm like, he won, but I still got to get through Saudi Boo. Saudi Boo's no pushover. Saudi Boo's a former world champion. I still got to get through him. I got to focus on him tonight, and then we can get excited about this after the fight. But we were excited. My fucking coach was fucking screaming at the top of his lungs on the bus. He's so happy. He's so happy. He's like, yes, this is what we needed. So happy he won. But we didn't think he won. But I'm excited he did. I was an Aaron Jeffery fan that night. On June 27th, I'm a Dalton Rosta fan. Of course. And we're going to go out there and get a win. Going to hear some USA chants. I'm going to join in on them halfway through the fight. I don't know. But it's going to be a fun one.
So with the format of the tournament, have you had, this is a new kind of, it's not to say you do have some time off, but did you have to change anything? Obviously you fought, and then you get, your next date, and then who it's against, but typically you have some time off. Did you have to get right back into the gym, or is that typically how you like to do it? Just kind of, you fight, maybe you have some celebrations, and you get back into the gym on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, I took like 3 or 4 days off. My coaches wanted me to take the whole week off, but I think on Tuesday, I started doing some cardio just outside the gym. Wednesday, I started training again. I started drilling and did some live. Thursday, I didn't spar till the following week, but I got back into the grappling and pad work and shit that week, and kind of been cruising ever since. I ramped it up as I went along. Now I'm starting to taper because fight next Friday. So yeah, 11 days, like we just spoke about. So now I'm starting to taper down, and I feel good, man. I was in really good shape for the last one, but this one I got to build on top of it, so I'm in even better shape now.
That's good. And did you come out of the Saudi fight with no injuries?
The only thing I had messed up was my ankle from when we were against the cage, and I was kneeing his leg. I was trying to beat up his leg a little bit. I was kicking the inside of his leg too while we were against the cage, and I think my ankle hit off the cage, hit off the back of his shin, whatever. So my ankle was a little bit swollen, but besides that, nothing.
You were doing cardio not too long after, so that's good. We're happy about that. No, we're obviously cheering for the USA side in this one. I do have to ask you about the Steelers. Obviously a big Pittsburgh guy. How do you feel about Aaron Rodgers being the quarterback this year? I'm a Jets fan, so I just ended my Aaron Rodgers experience. But I'm not a hater of Aaron by any means, but it's going to be a show for sure.
Well, how'd you feel about Aaron Rodgers whenever he came to the Jets?
Well, I was hyped. I mean, you also have to remember, you had Big Ben forever. The Jets, I've grown up with no substantial quarterback for more than 2 or 3 years. Like Mark Sanchez was like the best quarterback I saw. And when Aaron came, it was like, finally, we have a guy. And then obviously he tore his Achilles. I was hyped up last year. I wanted him to come back this year. But I mean, I still think he's pretty good. Like people kind of ragged on him last year. He's not what he was, but I still think he's a decent. He had a decent year last year. He plays hard. I mean, he could have quit on the Jets last year. He played until the final game, which I will say is impressive. The Jets season was over in like October.
Yeah, he's efficient. I'll give him that. But I never thought he was like, to me, he's a great quarterback and he's super efficient. Doesn't throw a lot of picks, throws a lot of touchdowns. But he's never led the league in anything any year. He's always had Peyton Manning in the league, Tom Brady in the league, a Big Ben in the league, a Drew Brees in the league. So he was never the top quarterback any single one year. And I know he's won MVPs, but MVP most valuable player to your team in the NFL, like what you did for your team. And him throwing a lot of touchdowns versus very little interceptions, and then winning a Super Bowl and stuff like that, that's what gets him the MVPs.
Yep.
But we're talking statistically, we're talking about overall as a player, he never led the league in passing yards. It was always Drew Brees or Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or Big Ben won it once. He split the title with Drew Brees the one year. So he's not like one of those guys. He's not lighting up the scoreboard with 50 touchdowns, 55 touchdowns in a season like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. He's not throwing for 500 passing yards in a game like Big Ben did multiple times. He's not throwing for 6 touchdowns in a game like Big Ben did multiple times. So him being on the tail end of his career and even whenever he was in his prime, still never being someone that I think is like a complete game changer, in my opinion. I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for that. I just don't I see it, especially in our offense. We just got rid of George Pickens. We brought in DK, and then it was like, okay, DK and GP. So I'm like, okay, this with Pat Freiermuth up the middle. It's like looking like it's kind of looking like a Antonio Brown and Martavis Bryant with Heath Miller up the middle. It's starting to look like that. Now, if we brought Aaron Rodgers in with that type of offense, different story. But and I was never big on Najee Harris, but then we get rid of Najee Harris and we don't really know what we're doing at running back position. And then now we get rid of I like Justin Fields personally. You guys got Justin Fields. We got fucking Aaron Rodgers. I would have preferred to keep Justin Fields, dual threat, good on his feet, good at scrambling, and he scored 10 touchdowns versus 1 turnover in the first 4 games of the season, and put up 30+ points in those games, in one of those games. And now we're just giving him the can because you guaranteed Russell Wilson a starting spot before you ended up signing Justin Fields or trading for Justin Fields. It just doesn't make sense. So I think we didn't take advantage of Justin Fields properly the year before. So then we don't get a good assessment of what he could do on the field this year with the current team. But I feel like with GP and DK, if we would have kept GP and then Justin Fields at quarterback, we would have been well off. But we'll see what it's like with Aaron Rodgers. But I think he's kind of washed now. He's still going to be mid-tier to mid-upper tier with how good he's been over his career, but he's not going to be a game changer. I don't think he's going to be someone that brings us a Super Bowl, especially since we are still ass out on one of the wide receiver positions. We don't really have a solid running back.
Yeah, Steelers should be interesting. They always find a way to be competitive, but it feels like you're in this like purgatory where it's like you're not awful like the Jets, but it's kind of stinks to be awful. So
yeah, but we're not elite. We're not getting the good draft pick, but we're not getting past the first round of the playoffs. Every fucking year. No matter what, though, it's better than fucking Kenny Pickett. I hated the Steelers 2 years Kenny Pickett was there, bro. Fuck, and I'm so glad he's on the Browns. The Browns is the team quarterbacks go to for your career to die.
Yeah,
I mean, unless you're Baker Mayfield. Unless you're Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
but you look at the Browns throughout the years. Deshaun Watson's a perfect example. Now you got people like Colt McCoy. You got people like Johnny Manziel. Like quarterbacks go there to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they
Joe
start
Flacco.
Yeah. So
no, it's a tough place to be. Well, we have Jets Steelers week 1. That should be fun. But before that, I mean, at that time, you'll be at least if I had to predict it. Do you have a preference of who you would face if you do, God willing, get this victory, or do you just? I know it's kind of different because the last one you were looking, and it's like that's your one loss. You want to avenge it. But are you looking at this other semifinal matchup and thinking, I want that guy? Or are you just saying, we'll just let the chips fall where they fall?
Let the chips fall where they fall, honestly, bro. I don't really give a fuck who I fight. I
Got
think
it.
I'm the best fighter in the tournament. I think I'm the best 85-pounder in the world. I said that after my fight, not because of the emotions, not because of the hype, because I truly believe it. I train with some of the best every single day at the gym. I know my level. I just need the opportunity to show it. And this tournament is an opportunity to show that. And whenever I go out here, June 27th, avenge my only loss, the only guy to beat me, now I'll be able to say I've beaten every single person that's been put in front of me. That's the first step. Then I go to the finals. I beat whoever they put me against in the finals. Now I'm a world tournament champion. Now people are going to start fucking believing me. I believe in myself right now. Some people believe in me, but after this tournament, there's going to be a good fucking handful of people that believe in me. So at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck who I fight. Put whoever in front of me, I'm going to beat them.
Yes, we're very excited. Best of luck, best of skill, as they say. I think you're going to come out on the victorious side. You said it's probably not going to get past the second round. That should be an action-packed fight. We will be tuning in June 27th. If you're in the Chicago area, go. You have to go. This is going to be a fun card. It's loaded. Dalton obviously is going to be the main fight that we are going to be looking at. But there's a lot of other great fights on it. Make sure you go. I think it's at the Wintrust Arena.
Yes, sir.
And best of luck. Thank you for stopping by and spending 20 minutes with us. And I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you, Dalton.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Appreciate it.